Welcome to day 5 of Handmade Holidays. Today's project is this cute little flower pot snowman. So join me as we go step by step through the process. And if you like it, please like and subscribe. That just encourages me to keep going and making more videos like this. When choosing your flower pots, you want to make sure that they stack. This one is your base. This is your biggest one. The next one is going to be the face, and that goes on. And you can see how nicely it fits on there. It doesn't wobble off. Then this flower pot and this flower pot are the same size, and this goes on top. So here you have the hat. This is going to be your face, and this is your body. Before we can paint our pots, we need to treat them with a primer. Terracotta is super porous, so by putting a primer on, that will help to let the top coats of paint stick better. And I ended up using a Rust-Oleum Universal Bonding Primer. I painted all 3 pots with the primer. That's why these are gray. Then after the primer was dry, I went back in with some white spray paint, and I painted the body white. I painted what's going to be the face white, and I left the hat the regular primer gray. Now, if you're a good spray painter, you could leave it just like this. I'm not a good spray painter, so I went back through and I painted over the white spray paint with white acrylic paint, and I had to put a couple coats on. You don't need to do that, but if you do, having it spray painted white just makes it a little bit easier to hide the gray underneath. But if you don't have to do that, if you're a good spray painter. Now that everything's primed and base coated, we get to start doing the fun stuff, the colors. And I'm going to start with the hat. I've decided I'm going to do my hat Deco Art Santa Red. Now, full disclosure, I'm not affiliated with anybody. Nobody's giving me any product for anything throughout this Handmade Holiday series. I'm just putting it all together so I can share these craft projects with you. So let's grab the red paint and get started. As you're putting the red paint on, just take your time. Go back and forth and back and forth. You want nice, smooth, even coat. You don't want any lumps or clumps in it. So each type of red paint has a different consistency. Some might take 2 coats to cover this, some might take 3. So it depends on your paint. I'm going to have 3 coats on this because I like a nice deep red. But just go back and forth, get the edges, get the top, get the bottom. Take your time, and when you're done, you can turn it upside down and just let it dry. While we're waiting for our flower pot to dry, we're going to cut out the mittens. When it comes to making the mittens, you can make them any size and any shape that you want. What I want you to do first is grab a scrap piece of paper, draw out a couple mitten shapes or patterns in different sizes, cut them out, and then hold them up next to your snowman to make sure that they are what you want. What do you think? I kind of like it. When you're working with kids in the fun foam, whenever they go to cut out a piece, they'll always put it in the middle and try and cut out there, and then they waste a lot of the fun foam. Instead, teach them that it's like making sugar cookies. You want to conserve as much of the dough as you can. So try and find places that you can fit it in where it'll still leave you big pieces that you can still cut something else out of. Another trick I want to share with you is that instead of using a pencil or a pen to trace something out, I like to use a toothpick. And the reason for that is you don't see any pencil lines that you have to worry about when you're cutting out, and it looks a little bit more professional in the end. So what you do is you press down really hard with your toothpick, and it leaves an indentation line. Now, depending on how well your eyes are, that could be another issue. But if you can see the line to cut, then you don't have to worry about those drastic pencil or pen lines. I don't know if you can see that or not, but I can just cut right along that line. And I need 2 of these because these are our mittens. One of the great things about fun foam is if it's the wrong color, you can just paint it. These mittens are just slightly off, so I'm going to give them a little coat of a little darker green. And when this coat dries, I'm going to turn them over and do the other side. While I'm waiting for the mittens and the hat to dry, I'm going to practice making snowflakes because I'm going to put some snowflakes on the body of my snowman. And basically it's really simple. I'm just going to make a dot and draw some straight lines. And another dot here, another dot here, another dot here, here. Then we're going to put little shorter lines. And that's our snowflake. And I'm going to put that all around the body of the snowman, only I'm going to use some silver oil-based paint pens. Using a metallic paint pen, I'm going to draw these cute little snowflakes all over the body of our snowman. And then I'm going to also put little dots around to represent little pieces of snow coming down. Now, if you've never used these paint pens, they are wonderful, and they're really great for people who have shaky hands like me. It's time to start thinking about the face of our snowman. Now, I always encourage people to do samples before you actually draw on your project. So I want to measure how much room I have to draw the face. Looks like we have about an inch. So I'm going to, now this doesn't have to be perfect, but I'm just going to draw a section here. And that tells me how much space I have to put my eyes, my nose, my mouth. So we can do a couple of those and do a couple different samples of faces. Sometimes one sample is all you need. I was very happy with this, so I just transferred it onto my flower pot. Now, I did use a Sharpie marker to draw this. If you can paint, go ahead and use paint, but I'm so shaky now that I need to use a Sharpie marker. Every snowman needs some buttons, so I've got my little hot glue gun. What are we going to do for a nose? There's a few options that you could do. You could go to the store and you could buy the little packages of colored clay, and you could sculpt something from that, and you could bake it, and that would be a nice nose. It would be a nice permanent nose. But that could be a little heavy and it might not stay on. You could also do kind of a paper mache. I've mixed up a little bit of toilet paper, a little bit of white glue, a dab of water, and you make paper mache kind of. You could mold that and then let that dry, paint it, and put that on. That would probably stay on very well because it's light. The other thing you can do, and I thought about this as I was cleaning my bathroom, this is a magic eraser. And I'm just going to cut a little bit of this off. And I think I'm just going to see if this will work. I'm going to shape the nose out of a magic eraser. It's always fun to find things around the house instead of having to go out and buy things. Now, I have no idea if this is going to work. It's definitely going to be light enough. Now, the paper mache, you could get it to look like a real carrot. This obviously isn't going to look that much like a carrot. It'll have the shape of it, but it won't have the texture that a paper mache or one of those clay noses could have. And I think that might work. Now we just need to get it painted. And you know, I could try and paint this with a little paintbrush. I'm just going to get paint all over my hands. So I'm just going to roll it in the paint. Let it soak it all up. Just roll it in there. My hands are going to get dirty anyway, so I might as well do that. And I think that might work just fine. We just need to let that dry now. We're getting there. It's just the little details we have to do now. Thanks for watching. Have a happy holiday.
Like and subscribe.